Continuing my collection series, today we will be sharing my face palettes. So we'll be diving into this drawer where I store all of my face palettes. I'll be sharing each one of them with you and we'll be chatting all about them. So if that sounds good, let's go ahead and get started. So this drawer is actually pretty organized. I do have all of my face palettes in this clear acrylic bin. This is from the brand Sunny Cosmetics. I love their acrylics. I have them a bunch in my makeup storage, so I will link them down below for you guys to check out. But this one's great for storing face palettes, especially like mini ones, and really just all of my face palettes fit in here really nicely. So up here in the front, I like to keep my NARS palettes because I just think they're so beautiful and I just love their packaging so much, so I like to display them in the front. So this one here is the Orgasm palette, and the only thing that about NARS is their packaging I feel like is really hard, but this one is a beautiful face palette. I think this came out last summer, and then they also had a second palette. This one was just I think this one was called the Afterglow palette, yes, and it had a similar vibe. It was just a little bit deeper, so there is that one as well. I just think these again are so pretty and I love displaying them here in the front. The next one I have here is the NARS Orgasm X. Again, they have similar names I feel like on these palettes, but this one is just a little trio that they have with 3 different face colors. Next NARS one was the Full Dimension face palette. They came out with 2 of these, so this is the first one. So again, you have some bronzers and also a highlighter in here. And then another NARS palette. This one is the Full Access, and this one was cute because I think this one was holiday as well. These all look very similar when I'm opening them all up. Maybe I need to do like a face palette declutter, but I love these because I just think they're really pretty and sleek, but I do feel like they look pretty similar now that I'm looking at them. I'll show you a few more NARS ones in a minute, but we'll get into some other ones that I have here as well. So this one here is from Complex Culture. I really enjoy these duos. So this one is the Overtime palette, and this one has actually a blush and a bronzer in here. Formula is very smooth on this, really nice. I really enjoy it a lot. And this palette, I feel like I've had this forever, but it's held on like declutter after declutter. But this is the Styled by Harouge from Tarte. I wanted this so badly when it came out, and I feel like I asked for it for Christmas and I got it and I was so excited. It's such a cute little palette, but it just has some eye colors in there and then also a cheek color. I feel like I've had this for so long though. I haven't used it in so long, but I keep it in here, I guess. I do have this one from Iconic London. This one is called the Silk Glow Duo. So inside of here, you do have a highlighter as well as a blush. This is a nice formula. I wouldn't say it's a favorite for me, but it is a pretty palette. I feel like they are pretty pigmented and they look pretty nice on the cheeks. From Charlotte Tilbury, I do have the Film Star Bronze and Glow palette. So in here you do have a bronzer along with a highlighter shade. I've gotten so much use out of this. I think it's a really nice soft formula. I think it's beautiful. I also really enjoy the packaging as well. Next in my face palette collection, I do have these quads from ColourPop. I really enjoyed these. I know like not a lot of people liked this collection, but I loved it. Like I reach for these so much. This brighter one, not so much, but the other two, definitely. So these are like little highlighting palettes and blush palettes. So we have this one here. That one has blush and then also a highlight in there. This was probably my most used. I think this one, yes, Extra Glaze. I use that one so much. I need to put it back in my everyday drawer. And then we had this one, which had like more nudes. I thought these were great. I loved the clear packaging. I really enjoy that because I feel like it's easier for me to get use out of stuff that has clear packaging because I can see it better in my larger collection. But I think these formula is really nice in these, and I love the Super Shock highlights as well, so it's nice to have everything all in one. Speaking of favorites, I do have my Dior Backstage palette here. I love this little guy. It's so beautiful. So it's like a highlighting palette, but honestly I use this like pink one and this one as like more of toppers, and then those two as a highlight, but this one's a blush topper. I use this one for bronzer. It's just perfect, especially in the summertime, just to give you a really nice glow. And of course, classic Dior packaging is beautiful as well. Next, I do have this little bronzing glow from Natasha Denona. These are so little, but it's so cute. So it has a highlight in there as well as a bronzer. I don't feel like it's too small though. I feel like I can still fit my brush in there. The formula on these is very smooth, very nice. I feel like it's perfect for travel just because it is so small. It's really easy to carry around. I have some more NARS here. This is the Inhibited palette. So inside of here you actually get a cheek duo. So this one has like a blush topper, I would describe it as. It could be a highlight, but on me it's more of a topper, and then also a matte blush as well. And then I actually have the Basic Instincts one. I thought I got rid of this one, but I do have it. So it has, again, 4 different blush colors in there. This next one is from The Balm. This is their Willpower palette. So inside of here you get cheek colors. So this one has, it's almost like blush toppers I would describe them as, but they're all so glowy and beautiful. I really like this in the summertime, especially the shade right here, like over top of my blush. It looks so stunning. They also use recyclable packaging, so you can actually recycle everything in here. You just throw out like the little things, but this is nice that they do that as well. This one from Huda Beauty is her Light Obsessions palette, and I really liked this new formula. I thought it was really smooth and really nice on the skin. I used to have her other formula, or her other highlighter palettes back in the day, and I didn't love those as much, but I really did enjoy this one here. And I like the packaging. I know not everyone's crazy about like Huda's face on it, but I think it's really pretty, and I really enjoyed this one. Wet n Wild, in my opinion, has some of the best highlighters at the drugstore. So this one is their Lilo & Stitch collab. So this one has in it 3 different highlights, and then you also have, or 2 different highlights, and then you also have 2 bronzer shades. I felt like it was really smooth. I only used it honestly in that video. I need to reach back for this, but it's a like little palette. I love that they have the little sticks in there as well. Let me know if you have this palette. I swear this is like the most beautiful drugstore face palette. This is from Maybelline. It's their Master Bronze palette. Mine is so loved, but it has in it 3 different bronzing shades and then also a highlight. The highlight in here is absolutely stunning, and the bronzers, I don't know what about them, but they're just so smooth. I just really enjoy this formula. I think it's a really great palette from the drugstore. Nice and affordable. I can link this one. I know you can still find it on Amazon. Can't find it everywhere, but so good. Next up, I have this beautiful palette from the brand Dear Dahlia. So inside of here, you have some highlighters. It also has a really pretty mirror. This was a really nice formula, and I love the packaging, the rose gold. Elevation palette from Pure was my favorite for so long. I haven't reached into it in a while, but I love this. When I first got it, I like used it nonstop. The highlighter has quite a dip in it. This too, I like to mix together. And then I didn't really use this one as much, but it was like really these 2 shades that I loved. I think I got this like free one time with like a Pure purchase, and it was like the best free item I've ever gotten. I have another one of those iconic London face duos. This one is in the shade Coral, so you have a more punchier blush in this one, and then also a highlight shade as well. This little duo I have here is from Wander Beauty, and they came out with these, and I thought they were a nice formula. This is their Trip for 2 palette. I think that I have 2 of these, or I might have decluttered the other one, but they're a nice blush formula, very smooth, and the bronzer I feel like was nice and buildable, looked really nice on the skin. Oh my gosh, my Tarte Pro Glow. It's been so long since I've reached into this, but you guys, this was like my jam when I got this. I use this so much. You can tell it's pretty well loved, but this one had inside of it some highlights as well as a cream bronzer and also a bronzing powder. I feel like the bronzing powder was the perfect shade for me, so I used it a bunch. The cream, I feel like I probably shouldn't use that anymore because it's definitely expired, but I don't know. I love this palette. I thought it was great. It had the little mirrors on it, and I used it so much after I bought it. From House of Siaz, I have this little duo. This one has from Mickey Mouse. It has a blush and then also a highlight in there. I love this packaging. I think it's so stunning. It's a very soft formula, but it's really pretty on the skin. The Simpsons and Revolution Beauty, this is their collection that they did with them. So inside of here, you have a bronzer, a blush, and a highlight. I remember liking this palette. I honestly haven't reached for it since that review, but I do remember it was a nice formula. I feel like Makeup Revolution has a good cheek formula. I do have this one here from Ofra. This is their Midi Face palette, and it does have in here 2 bronzers and then also a highlighter. I think that's Rodeo Drive if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Rodeo Drive, San Fran, and Pacifica for the face products in this one. Oh my gosh, my Anastasia Beverly Hills Aurora palette. Talk about something that is well loved. Look at the dip in this highlighter right here. This is so funny that I use so much of this because I feel like nowadays I hardly ever reach for like highlights like this, highlight in general, but especially like, you know, fun iridescent shades. But I used to use these all of the time when I did a lot of like, you know, more out there makeup looks. I use this nonstop, but I kind of save it just to have for this blue one, but it's such a fun palette. It brings back a lot of memories for me. From Hourglass, I have the Dim Light palette. So in here you get a bronzing shade and then also 2 like face finishing shades. This is a formula that I use a ton. I feel like it's one that I don't really get the hype with. I mean, it's nice and it looks like nice on the skin, but I don't know. I just feel like it's not my favorite formula. I do really like this one from Pixi. It's like one of their gradient glow face palettes. So inside of here you have a highlight, a blush, and a bronzer. They kind of all go into one. This looks beautiful on the skin, especially if you like mix them all together. I've used this a lot. You can tell I have quite a large dip in it. I think it's a really great formula. From Flower Beauty, I have their strobing palette. This was definitely one that Andrea Matiliano maybe purchased. She was raving about this, and for good reason. It's a very nice face palette, especially from the drugstore. This first shade right here is stunning on the face. Honestly, you guys, I just don't really reach for a highlight anymore because I was like, I haven't used this in so long and I love it, but it's just because I haven't really been using highlighter. I have this trio up next from Motive Cosmetics, and this one is just like a highlighting palette. So you have a highlight shade and then a bronzer and a contour shade. I loved this collection from MAC. This is their Ignite face palette. This whole collection for me was just such a beautiful collection. So inside of here you have some blushes and also some highlighters. I just love this packaging. I've really just held on to it for that because it's so pretty. I mean, the face palette's beautiful as well, but I just don't reach for it a ton either. This honestly could just turn into a declutter because I really haven't reached for a lot of these in a long time, but I hold on to them. This is the Luxe Diamond Palette from Lorac. This is beautiful. The highlights in here are really nice. They have a great formula when it comes to highlighters. I think it's a really nice face palette, and you do get a lot of variety in the colors in here. This one here is from Cover FX, and this is one of their face palettes. I think I got this one maybe in a BoxyCharm, but I actually got a lot of use out of it. It has like this little brightener shade that I think looks really pretty if you put it like on your inner corner. It has a finishing powder that's really nice. The highlights in here is really pretty. I thought it was a good little face palette. And Jaclyn Cosmetics, I ended up getting her Flash palette. I haven't really reached into this one. I do think she has a nice formula, but it's very blinding. And like I said, I haven't been really using highlighters, so I haven't really gotten much use out of this just because I feel like it is very, very blinding, and it's just not really what I go for anymore, but I remember it being a nice formula. This one, however, this one is like one that I used so much. This is from Becca, and it was the Malika and Chloe collaboration. This was Chloe's palette, and oh my gosh, I use this so much. So it has a highlighter in here, 2 blushes, and then also a bronzing shade. It doesn't look like I've used it a lot, but I promise you, like, this was most used for me for like an entire year. I didn't put this down. It's like a baked formula, so it's very, very pretty. Unfortunately, of course, not available anymore, but if you see it, maybe like TJ Maxx or something, pick it up. It's so good. I do have another Lorac face palette here as well. So this one is, again, a highlighting and bronzing palette. So a bronzer shade, contour, and then also just a highlighter shade. From Alamar Cosmetics, I have this blush trio. I think I got this one as in a BoxyCharm as well. They have a really nice formula when it comes to their face palettes as well as their eyeshadows. I was really impressed with this one. I like the more like punchier shades too. This one from Too Faced, this packaging just gets me every time. I think it's so beautiful. This is their natural face palette. Again, I got a lot of use out of this one when I first got it. It has a bronzer shade that I really enjoy in there. I've got some highlights, a really pretty blush. I think it's a nice little palette, and again, super cute packaging. And then from Doll10 Beauty, I do have their complexion palette right here. This one's really special to me because I was able to do a collection with Doll10. You guys know I had my brush set that came out with them. And when I did my launch party, this was also launching right after my brushes. So they had these like spread throughout the room. They were set up in the bathroom, and it just brings back really good memories for me. That was just like such a highlight of my career, of my life, to be able to do that launch party and just like have, you know, my hotel all set up and everything. It was so much fun. So I will forever keep this palette. And actually my sister and my little sister both are obsessed with this thing. Like, they have both panned multiple shades. My sister's been through multiple palettes of this. It's just a nice everyday palette. It does have cheek colors. You have like a brightening powder. It's really just everything you need all in one, and a great formula. Up next, from Anastasia Beverly Hills, we have their Moonchild palette. This is one I think I got in a BoxyCharm, honestly, and I've never even used it. I think I swatched it, but that's it. I think it's just stayed in here. Honestly, I just like threw it in here, forgot about it, but it has some fun little iridescent highlights. Again, not really something I'm reaching for, but if I ever want it, I do have it. So that is everything here in this like bin spot. I do have a few kind of like overflow palettes that are a little too large to have like standing up wise. So I have this one here from Japanesque. I was able to do a sponsorship with them where I got to use some of their palettes. I've been using their sponges, their brushes and stuff for years, but I hadn't really tried their makeup, and they sent this when I did the collaboration, and honestly, it's such a pretty palette, and the formula is really nice. So I don't know. I didn't know they had makeup until I did the collaboration with them, but it was really nice. So you have a highlight, some bronzing shades, and then also some blushes in here. It's really a nice little face palette. I have from Kevyn Aucoin, this is the second face palette that they came out with. I think I had the first one, but I think I've decluttered it at this point. I've had it for so long, but inside of here you have the sculpting shade. That was my favorite thing in this palette. You also have this like blush that is so pretty that kind of gradiates, a couple of highlights in here. It's not one that I've reached for again in a while, but it is a nice face palette, especially if you are like an artist. I think this would be perfect for that. KVD Vegan Beauty, I have their Shade and Light palette. I know it says the old packaging on here, but I got this when it was like the newer brand. I'm not really sure. I think they were trying to just like use up their stock, but I get the hype with this one. It is a really nice contour palette. I feel like it's kind of, I don't know, had its moment almost, because I feel like we have so many face palettes now, but I remember when this was like something you wanted to get your hands on because it was so sought after. But inside of here you have like a brightening powder, like 3 different brightening powders, and then 3 different contour shades. This one actually works really well for me if I want to contour, so sometimes I'll reach into this, and if I'm looking for like more of a sculpted look, I'll reach into this. From Physicians Formula, I have their Breakfast Club palette. This one is the Saturday Detention palette, and this one was really nice. I really enjoy Physicians Formula. I feel like they have a really great face palettes, really great highlights, obviously bronzers. We know the Butter Bronzer is so popular from them, but I really enjoy when they come out with like these little face palettes. I also have a second one in here. This one was the All-Star palette. Again, very beautiful. This one has some really, really pretty pans in here. So this one kind of got messed up with my like bronzer, but it's a really nice highlighting shade. You have the butter bronzer in here, which I love. Like this rose one, so pretty. Just has some really cool finishes in here. And we have made it to my very last palette right here. This one is from the brand Makeup Obsession. This is the Isn't It Peachy palette, and here is what that looks like on the inside. So you have this really pretty like swirled blush and then some other nude orangey blushes. This is a nice little palette. I think you can find this brand at Target. But after that, you guys, that is going to do it for my face palette collection. I know it's one of my smaller collections, but it's still very large nevertheless. And I will definitely be doing a declutter here sometime soon because I know, like I said, I don't use this one. I don't use this one. I feel like highlights is just not something I'm reaching for a ton anymore. So I know that a lot of these palettes can probably go, but it is pretty nice and organized. So at least I'm happy with that. But let me know what you guys want to see next in my collection. I will be sure to continue these until we get through all of my drawers. But thank you as always for watching. I'll see you very soon with a brand new video.